November are just $15. Fractions, algebra, geometry, decimals, you name it. Plus, Infinity offers homeschool programs, free seminars for parents and students, and whether your child is transitioning from elementary school to middle school to high school, or preparing for college, Infinity can help. Classes are filling up. Call us now to find out more. 702-768-1777. That's 768-1777. You want the best results for your child? One call to Infinity can have a huge impact on your child's future. Call now. 768-1777. Tell them the Vegas Take sent you.
At the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Federal Student Aid, we provide more than $150 billion each year in grants, loans, and work-study funds. Learn more at studentaid.gov.
The new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Snow is having an impact on millions of travelers trying to get somewhere for the Thanksgiving holiday. Correspondent Ryan Young is in Minnesota, one of those places that has snow.
There was one accident where they had to deal with 8 inches of snow really quickly. You had people stuck in their car for 2 hours. So one of the things they're encouraging people to do is make sure they have a full tank of gas before hitting the road.
Another storm system is threatening to make getting home from your feast a challenge for millions more Americans. Iran protesters angry over government-set gasoline prices spiking attacked hundreds of banks, police outposts, and gas stations today. Iran's supreme leader alleged without evidence that the U.S. helped instigate the protests. The Alabama Supreme Court has upheld a state law barring cities from moving or altering Confederate monuments, striking down a law passed in Birmingham. On Wall Street, the Dow was up about 50. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
Sponsored by the Cheesecake Factory. If you're on US 95, looks good in both directions. That is going to be at least from Eastern up to Las Vegas Boulevard. And the 15 looks good. You're up to a good pace north and southbound, and that's going to be from the Spaghetti Bowl down to Charleston. Black Friday through Cyber Monday. Buy a $25 gift card and get 2 free slices of cheesecake redeemable in the new year. Visit thecheesecakefactory.com for more details. I'm Danny Sullivan in the KDON Traffic Center.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Vuse Alto is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simple to use, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet at our best price ever. 99 cents plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pods sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
Have you been lied to? Lied to by Washington politicians and the Wall Street propaganda machine? Hi, I'm Inc. Magazine best-selling author Brett Kitchen, and if you're over 55 with an IRA or 401k, I want to give you a free copy of my new book, Wealth Beyond Wall Street, because according to Time Magazine, Wall Street's 401ks have failed millions of Americans. After losing 35% in my IRA and the crash years ago, I said enough. And since then, I discovered a way to grow money potential double digits, reduce taxes dramatically, and also have my money protected when the next stock market crash hits. When the next market crash hits, you lose nothing. Call Wealth Beyond Wall Street now to get your free book and talk to a specialist to discover this little-known strategy to get potential double-digit growth during good years and never lose in the market crashes. Call 1-800-324-4141 to discover this asset that people like Walt Disney and JCPenney use to grow wealthy. Plus, when you call right now, you get free shipping and handling, no credit card required. And I'll send you a free copy of the audiobook so you can listen in your car. Call 1-800-324-4141. 1-800-324-4141. That's 1-800-324-4141.
And now more Straight Talk from Straight Talk. The big wireless guys try to saddle you with expensive wireless plans because that's how they earn big commissions.
Saddled? What am I, a horse?
No, you are not. That's why with Straight Talk Wireless, you get our unlimited plan for just $45 a month with 25 gigs at high speeds. No contract, no saddle.
Oh, like a wild wireless stallion.
Uh-huh, sure. Switch today and get America's best networks for up to half the cost. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. See straighttalk.com.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally, so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
Rich is just a really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich? No. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Sean Hannity, weekdays noon to 3 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
We're not building a wall in Kansas, but they get the benefit of the walls that we just mentioned.
Rolling through the back end of the Vegas Take on your Wednesday, 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON. Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro along with J.D. Sharp. We just had Brian Shapiro actually on the line, but he had to bounce out. He's going to be hosting the VGK watch party tonight as the Golden Knights are in Music City to take on the Nashville Predators. So if you're bouncing around down there by the Galleria Mall over on the east side of town over there, and jump into the Buffalo Wild Wings because Brian's hosting a party out there. Watch VGK take on their Western Conference rival. We're joined on the phone lines by Brian Salmon. He's the news director over at Channel 3 NBC here in Las Vegas. Does a tremendous job covering all things sports here in Las Vegas. And by the way, one of the best dressed guys on TV in town. No disrespect to Chris Matthews and to Kevin Bollinger. There are guys, but B-Sal is always looking sharp, isn't he, JD?
Brian Salmon is by far the best dressed person on TV, regardless of sex, in Las Vegas.
That's no question.
Regardless of sex.
Speaking of those Vegas Golden Knights, though, Brian Salmon, not exactly a great last 10-game spot with this squad, sitting at 2-10 in those matchups, 11-11 in the division right now in fifth place. Interesting from a offensive standpoint with this team. When they win, they score goals. Their last victories, of course, against the Maple Leafs and the Calgary Flames, they dropped 6 and 4 respectively in those games. But when they lose hockey games, they just don't light the lamp. I mean, this is a team, they don't lose games, for example, 5-4 or 6-5. When they lose games, they're scoring 1, maybe 2 goals. Has to be a concern, I think, for the folks over there at City National Arena during the week and for the fans of the Vegas Golden Knights.
No, it is a concern. I mean, they haven't been scoring goals, and one thing that is an example of them not scoring goals is the fact that Gerard Gallant has messed with the lineup a ton. He's changed the lines up a bunch, going back and forth. So, I mean, that looks directly to the fact they haven't scored any goals, but they haven't done a good job. Well, I was going to say the goalies haven't done all that great, but they really have done well because the defense hasn't done all that well. They've been letting in a whole lot of odd-man rushes.
Right.
Guys are getting prime scoring chances at will for the most part. And I was on Twitter with some guy yesterday talking about how bad Malcolm Subban is. He hasn't done wonderful, but it's hard with the guys when you're getting shots at you with no defenders in front of you on a regular basis. Like, what are you supposed to do?
Exactly. And Subban, he's not having a great. He's .888 percentage. He's saving 88% of his shots going his way, and Fleury's saving 91.5%. So it's not a giant difference. I think that the biggest thing, and I've been wagering hockey. I just started wagering hockey this year. I know I keep adding a wagering angle to everything, but the Knights are they're second in the league in shots per game. On shots on goal, 34.5 shots on goal, but they're about 12th in goals. They're not getting a lot of good shots. A lot of their shots they seem to be going a few feet in front of them. Like they're not actually even hitting the goalie. They're getting there's a defender in front of the goalie. The shot will hit the defender or it'll go off the goalpost, and it opens up a breakaway for the other team. Have you seen that a lot as well, Brian?
Man, you could not have been any more correct. That's exactly what I see. It seems like a lot of their shots get blocked. It seems like they don't get they don't get nearly as many prime scoring chances as their opponents do. And at the same time, when they get those prime scoring chances, i.e. a breakaway by Riley Smith, i.e. a breakaway by Tomas Notion, they get breakaways, and they're not burying goals. Marchessault had a number of breakaways in which he hasn't scored. So, I mean, that adds up to not getting good prime scoring chances and not taking care of the good prime scoring chances that you get, so they're not scoring a ton of goals.
So, Brian, yourself, along with me, we both worked in markets that have been hockey hotbeds. You've worked in Boston, you've worked in Philadelphia, and so being here in Las Vegas now, it's obviously a relatively new market when it comes to the sport of hockey and the fans here. It's interesting to see how they react. Are we in a position here where it could be panic time? Are we in a situation where, you know, the fans are getting a dose of reality? Because, look, let's be honest, for the first 2 seasons, this franchise has absolutely overachieved. And this year, going into year 3, the expectation was this, right? They were supposed to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference, and that has not transpired as of yet. And so it's kind of a deal where the fans are facing a situation where their team is not performing up to expectations that they originally had.
No, I mean, it definitely is a dose of reality in the fact that they're not the number one team. However, the team has the talent. So that's the one reason why I feel like they should expect the team to do well is because they have the exact same team that last year they really should have gone to like the Western Conference Finals without the horrible call that happened in the San Jose Sharks game and Fleury letting in those 4 goals in 4 minutes. But so, I mean, they should expect to do well, but now they're playing with expectations. You guys know, like I do, it's a whole different ball game.
A whole different game.
Playing with expectations as opposed to playing with us against the world mentality, or you're just playing where no one thinks you're going to do well and you guys stink and, oh, my God, they beat us. Oh, whatever. They're not going to be that good at the end of the year. So it's different, way different.
And one of the guys they picked up last year, Max Pacioretty, he is having a horrendous year actually shooting the puck. He's scoring about 4% of the shots on goal that he takes, which is just completely terrible. But he's not a great defensive player, so I think that going after Pacioretty, bringing him on, as the offensive stalwart that he was, the years before being a Knight, and now him not producing offensively, along with being a bit of a liability defensively, is hurting the Knights as well. Do you agree with that?
I do. I mean, Pacioretty first. He's a great dude. Love to talk to the guy. But you're right, and he would admit the fact that he's not having a good season right now. He's, I think, one of the leaders in the NHL of hitting posts. It seems like he's always hitting the post with his shot. And then for a second there, he started scoring a few goals, so it started to work out for him. But you're right, he hasn't scored like, say, James Neal, the guy they had the first season. James Neal's had a great season so far, although he stunk last year.
Right.
David Perron's doing pretty well. Like some of the guys that they've let go have done well. Mark Stone started off really well, had a great summer with the Canadian national team, but he's only playing just average right now. So, he's leading the team as far as I think either him or Riley Smith had the most goals. But, as far as points are concerned, I think it's Mark Stone. They're not getting much from Pacioretty, but still, if you look at hockey – in terms of last season, the St. Louis Blues had the worst record in all the NHL, and they end up winning the Stanley Cup. So, still, it's a little bit early.
Should be a nice measuring stick, though, tonight. They go up against a Nashville team in the Predators that had a 6-game winless streak, and then they snapped that by beating the St. Louis Blues and back-to-back on a home-and-home sweep of the defending Stanley Cup champions. So it'll be interesting to see how the Golden Knights handle going into that, what was going to be a frenzy of an atmosphere, I'm sure, up there in Nashville. But you take a look at this team, Brian, I don't think it's going to be just a business as usual from George McPhee or the powers that be standpoint. What kind of moves do you think they make? Initially, off the top of my head, I look at the squad and I think defense, right? I think they have to do something on the blue line with respect to maybe making a transaction or bringing somebody up and making a change. What do you think that this Vegas Golden Knight team needs to do from a personnel standpoint?
See, that's the thing, is that what changes have they made in order to go from a good defensive team to a bad defensive team, how they played this season? Mm-hmm. Colin Miller, I think, is the person that they let go, and it's not like he was great last year. Zeke off when he was in there, he got popped. He was decent. They have a rookie in Hague playing who's just okay. Chase Theodore, as far as defensively, is just playing okay. Derek England, defensively, is playing just okay. So, I mean, the guys that they have that they expected to do well are just playing okay. I don't know. I don't know if they bring anyone in defensively because, I mean, they're not scoring goals. That's really what their problem is right now. It's goals and defense. I mean, pick your poison. Where do you want to go as far as like to help the team out?
Well, and I want to give you a stat here. I was actually wrong. Yeah. Pacioretty has 100 shots on goal, and he's only scored 8 goals this year. But in comparison, Ovechkin's got 119 shots on goal, and he scored 15 goals. I mean that's a major difference for how many shots he's actually taking.
And that goes to show you what they're off, why they're struggling on offense. And you got to right the ship, and that's Gerard Gallant's job, right? I mean, that's what he's paid to do. It's not about just kind of the status quo or trying to get by. I mean, Gerard Gallant has got to make some moves and kind of wheel and deal with his lineup.
Actually, Marchessault is worse. He has 88 shots on goal, and he's only scored 5 goals. So when you've got Pacioretty and Marchessault, they've taken a collective 188 shots on goal, and they've only scored 13 goals. There's your issue. I mean, it's very simple.
Well, both those guys, right?
Exactly. No, you're right. You're right. Absolutely right, Jason. They're not scoring enough goals, and they're not getting it from the guys whom they expected to get those goals
right.
from. Like Marchessault is a guy who they expect to get goals from. Pacioretty's a guy whom they expect to get goals from. One thing is for certain, Marchessault's not going anywhere. It's not like going to get rid of him.
Right.
I mean, he's like the heart and soul of that team. Pacioretty, I mean, he is an integral part of the team, but they can easily, I don't know. I think that he is a guy that they wouldn't mind partying with as much. So, that's an issue. They got to start scoring goals. They really do.
Brian Salmon joining us live here on the Vegas Take. He is the sports director over at Channel 3 NBC here in Las Vegas. So the Vegas Golden Knights, they take on the Preds tonight. Then they're back home Friday against the Arizona Coyotes, and then they make that trip. That trip that every NHL team makes, where you go to New York and they probably stay in Jersey somewhere just across the river, and make the bus trip over to the Garden to play the Rangers. Then they play the Devils, and then the Islanders the following Thursday.
And
so it's going to be interesting to see that.
They should go at least 2-1 on that trip. They're a good
they should, right?
Yeah, they're a good matchup for the Rangers and the Devils. And honestly, the fact that they're still getting these shots, it's not a bad sign that they're getting the shots on goal. But I mean, and maybe we can assume that percentage is going to go up. But if it doesn't, for example, Mark Stone, he's scoring 14.5% of the shots that he's taking. He's just not taking enough shots. But you'd assume that those numbers go up, and if they do, their win should go up with it. But we have to hope they do. Brian, do you think there's any chance this team misses the playoffs?
You know what? No, I don't. I think that I think that they know that they're getting shots. Shots aren't going in. There is a little something to puck luck, but you got to make your own luck.
Right.
I kind of feel like that in every sport. You got to make your own luck. And I think that once the momentum starts going back the other way and they start winning games, I think they could easily go on a good 6-game winning streak. If they went on a 6-game winning streak, they'd go from 5th place to 2nd place in a heartbeat. I mean, right now, the San Jose Sharks, whom were the second to last place team in the Pacific Division, they're now a point ahead of the Golden Knights. And I did this last night on the air. I talked about it as far as showing the records. From 2nd place all the way down to last place, only 8 points separate that.
And look, I'm not trying to blast.
Third place, third place. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't want to you guys already talked about Malcolm Subban. When it comes to making the playoffs, guys, it absolutely is a monstrous impact. The health of Marc-Andre Fleury. There's no question about that, right?
Extremely important.
I mean, you guys just discussed, Malcolm Subban between the pipes. And look, I'm not trying to blast the kid they just brought up from Chicago, but I mean, that's going to be a true test, right? Is what this team can do in front of other goaltenders. Because Marc-Andre Fleury, it really is a crapshoot with respect to his health. And correct me if I'm wrong, Brian Salmon, right? But he's out tonight, right? Marc-Andre Fleury's not playing tonight. So
yeah, but it has nothing to do with his health. It has to do with he had a family emergency.
Okay.
I believe that he had went home to deal with someone that was ill in his family, which is not always never a good thing, obviously. But yeah, so I don't think it has to do with his health. But yeah, they called up Garrett Sparks on a emergency basis for tonight. So, but I honestly haven't heard whether or not he is actually, if he's back. if Subban is playing, if Sparks playing. I haven't heard as of yet.
Yeah, and I was just making a general statement regarding, Marc-Andre Fleury, how important he is to this team, right, guys? I mean, we're talking about, a Hall of Fame goaltender who still has something left in the tank.
It's to the point where
he's a big part of them being a playoff team. There's
of course
no doubt.
he is. I mean, you saw the crazy save he made, obviously, a week ago. But it's to the point where if Subban is starting at goalie, I refuse to even look at the Knights when I'm wagering a game because Fleury is that important.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, though, at the same time, I would want to look at the numbers of how the team plays in front of Subban.
Right.
Like, for instance, they lost to, who did you say? The Stars. The Stars had the longest winning streak currently at that time in the NHL. They'd won 6 straight games.
Yep.
And the Golden Knights scored 2 goals. But, I mean, there is something to be said. Every time they got to within 1 goal, the Stars would score immediately in order to give them, you know what I mean? But the scoring chances that they got, the one that put them up 3-1, the dude walked right in. Like, he was literally right in front of Subban with a shot on goal with nobody in between them. And it wasn't like it was a breakaway. It was on an offensive set that they had. Like, how do you lose track of somebody like that? I mean, that tends to happen often with Subban.
That's on the defender.
And, yeah, I mean, come on. You can't expect the guy to make prime saves like that all the time. He's made some saves like that this season, but you can't expect it. He's not Fleury.
So while we have you on the air here, Brian, we have to get your take on the Raiders. Of course, we're smack dab about a year away from the Raiders being here in Las Vegas. And last week, a matchup against the New York Jets in a game that I'm sure the sports books were loving here in Las Vegas, as I bet sports bettors all over town had the Raiders on either teasers, parlays, or straight up bets across the board, and it didn't pan out the way that the Raiders wanted to. A big-time loss to the Jets there. Any concern with this Raiders team that was playing pretty well in the playoff mix, and they end up going to the Big Apple and laying an egg there against a not-so-great New York Jets team in New York?
I like that, Jason. Chris saying that a not-so-great New York team.
Exactly.
They laid an egg in the fact that
they did.
What, 34-3?
Yeah, 34-3 was a score.
Yeah. But you know what, though? They're still in the mix. I mean, they're only a game back.
Right.
They play Kansas City this weekend. So this is another case of teams playing with expectations. Man, I said this on the air. It was a trap game. First of all, the game versus Cincinnati was a game that you're expected to win. How are you going to play when you're expected to win? Guys get tight. Teams don't play as well as they normally do. And then the whole West Coast team going back east.
Yes.
That's always an issue.
That's a real element. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that played into it. This week, I think you're absolutely going to see a better team. And I think the game is close. I think I saw, was a 10-point line on that one, Jason?
The game against the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Yeah, plus 9.5, I believe.
Okay, yeah. So I think, honestly, this week, I think they cover.
So
I'm a betting man.
Tough break.
I think it's going to be a good game.
I really think that the Hunter Renfrow injury was a big deal. He's kind of that. He's kind of that safety valve. He was the same thing for Trevor Lawrence last year against Alabama in that championship game. Hunter Renfrow was a 7th-round pick who Mike Mayock loved, and he made some big plays for the Raiders. I think they're going to miss him quite a bit. But the defense is playing well. The problem with the Raiders is they have no secondary depth whatsoever. Eric Harris is playing fine, but Carl Joseph's out, LaMarcus Joyner's out. Against a team like the Chiefs, how are they going to guard Sammy Watkins, McCole Hardman, Tyreek Hill? I mean, these guys are track stars. The Chiefs, and then Travis Kelce at running back. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I think the Chiefs blow these guys out, Brian. They just don't have the depth in the secondary. But I like what the Raiders are doing for the future. You gotta love what Carr's got going on right now with the 71% completion percentage. Josh Jacobs is a great rookie. I think Cleveland Farrell's been playing well, and as Max Crosby, who had 4 sacks last week or a couple weeks ago for the Raiders. So I like that they've got a nice young nucleus moving forward, and I think that Vegas should be excited about these guys.
No, I completely agree on the fact that Vegas should be excited about the team that they're going to get next year, because clearly they're ahead of schedule.
Right.
As far as them getting blown out, I think it's almost like this with every game. but I think it can go one of two ways.
Right.
Yes, you're correct. It can be a blowout. However, we've seen in the last few weeks that Kansas City isn't the Kansas City that we thought that they were. They haven't played all that well, especially offensively.
And that's true.
The defense has been terrible. And with the weather being really, really bad, the Raiders are likely going to try to keep the clock going and run the ball a ton, so they may not end up putting up as much points on either team because, Kansas City may not get as many opportunities to do so. So that may happen, or they could lay another egg like they did in New York. But I don't think they'll play as poorly just because it's Kansas City. You know what I mean? This is their biggest rival. It's a game in which, it means a whole lot. So it's going to be a fun game to watch, though, isn't it? I mean,
absolutely, yeah. And I agree. Mahomes hasn't been great under pressure. One thing the Raiders can do now is they can apply pressure with Max Crosby and Cleveland Farrell, who I think were great draft picks by Mayock.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, you're right. Those guys have been doing well. And Gruden's been saying in his press conferences that they've been putting pressure on the quarterback mainly because they've had opportunities to rush. They've been in positions where, the other team has had to throw the ball and that they haven't been getting blown out. They've been in games, so they get an opportunity to kind of pin their ears back and rush, and they've been doing a good job with it. And I'm excited for what the Raiders are doing because obviously it means that they're going to be a much better team when they come here than we thought that they might have been because last year they were horrendous.
Have you heard anything about tailgating? Is there going to be any type of tailgating for UNLV or for the Raiders in the next couple of years, Brian? What's up with that? Tailgating is such an integral part of having a team that your community supports.
Especially Raider Nation. I haven't heard a whole lot about it because I know that the parking situation over there looks bad. I mean, I can't remember what they said, 2,000, whatever, it's like 2,000 parking spaces or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I think they're right. I think what's going to end up happening is they're going to have some sort of a parking lot across the 15. I think there's pretty sure there's some land over there. And I think they should have like some kind of parking across the 15. They got to have some kind of bridge that goes over. And I believe they're doing that. And you have to be able to tailgate. I mean, that's a lifeblood of college football, but not just college football, but the Raiders in general, like their history. You've gone to, I don't know, have you gone to a game at the Coliseum before?
I have not.
I have not either, yeah. And Brian, by the way, we're up against it. We're actually on the back end of the show. You can follow Brian Salmon at Brian with a Y, News3LV on Twitter. Does a great job over at NBC3 as the main sports anchor over there. Brian, we appreciate it. Hey, have a great holiday with your family. Have a safe and happy one, and we will definitely talk to you again soon, okay, buddy?
Oh, my God, you're being too nice, Chris, but I appreciate it, man. Jay, always good to talk to you guys, man.
All right, take care,
really
brother.
Enjoyed it, Brian.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
All right, guys, you too.
Yes, as all kinds of sports action across the board. I got my Lions jersey on. Getting ready to watch that game tomorrow. JD, it's on. Yes, thanks to all our guests today.
Lions,
Everybody
Bears.
out there, it's going to be on, baby.
I agree.
Have a safe and happy Thanksgiving to all our listeners out there, everybody out there. And we'll be back next week, Monday. Best of shows coming up tomorrow and Friday. Stay tuned. Sean Hannity up next here at 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.